Oh God. So I did have a intro plan for this week. Unfortunately, I totally just blanked on the whole thing because I have been having a really busy week after work. I've been pretty occupied, so it just flew. So, dearest Renara,
Yes, I have swooped it now.
Yeah, you've swooped it.
I thought it would be a very good idea to revisit the very first intro I ever did. One, so Misty can hear it, because Misty has never heard this one, I don't think. And two, as a bit of a reflection of where everything started and where we are now. So everyone who's new, enjoy listening to the very first intro that I ever did for this wonderful, crazy podcast. Please do not cringe too much at it, and we'll just hope and see how this goes. Go for it, guys. Come on, Lumberfoot, don't make me leave you behind.
I thought we'd be rucking, not running.
It's not my fault the thing was trapped.
All right, Captain Brain Trust, what do we do now?
Just gotta get it in the right spot. That's it, it's in. Speak your path and enter.
Bloody path, bloody riddles.
What do we do now? I got us this far, it's up to you now.
Oh, it's my go, is it? I thought I was the pack horse and you were the brains.
Well, flattery will get you many places. Fine.
Passage?
No. Doorway? No.
It has to be obvious, because it's not written down anywhere.
So it has to be an obvious path. What if it's not talking about a literal path?
What do you mean, like life choices?
Yeah, something like that.
The darkness is getting closer.
I must have your final answer. Okay, so it's a path, but not a literal path. We're thinking life choices, so vocation maybe? What vocation do we both share?
I don't know, you talk for a living.
I do, but you're the strong and silent type.
Not when something's trying to cut my head off.
Wait, I've got it! It's a vocation we both share, it's one we talk a lot for, and it's something we both want to get better at.
Yes, well?
It's voice acting! The answer is voice acting! Phew, that was close.
We aren't out of the woods yet. It's pitch black in here. Give me your lighter.
I only have matches. What are you insinuating?
Oh, come on. Give it here. I know you have one.
Fine. Hello.
Who, what, where, when, and why?
I'm glad to see some newcomers have found this place.
You didn't answer my question.
I am your guide, a helping hand, and a fellow adventurer, just like you. Fellow adventurer? So this really is the place we've been looking for? Yes. Welcome to Cold Reads, a place by voice actors for voice actors. Here, aspiring VAs from all over the world have come together to hone their skills, working together to find their way down this crazy path called being a voice actor. We don't claim to be professionals, but we believe by supporting each other, by sharing our wisdom and experience, however long or short that may be, will help you take on whatever this journey may throw your way. We never said it would be easy, but if you have the passion, the drive, the courage to explore your humanity, and the thirst to improve yourself, you've come to the right place. Wow! This place is amazing! So much detail, so much effort put into this. I wonder how many people it took to set this up.
Probably just a handful. But skilled people, no less. That's why I want to learn.
You've arrived just in time for this week's podcast, where we will be covering the specifics on how to hit the ground running on Casting Call Club, how to submit your auditions, and building your portfolio, and any other tips and tricks our hosts might have. Who are the hosts? I'm glad you asked. Presenting this week's episode, we have Zamoody, Eldurrino, Renara Hawke, and Princess Passion.
Well, about that one. Misty Rose, yes, hi.
Ravenmane. So come
Also,
now,
no Raven
and
Maid,
be
nope.
part of this adventure, brave explorers. And who knows? Cold Reads might have the answers you seek.
Oh my god, I'm sorry, I just forgot. That's so pretty.
I love that
call-
though. I love that bit.
I call it Cold Reads, plural for some reason.
Because you didn't know the name yet. It was fine. This is
No,
fine. This
I
is your
didn't.
first one. This is fine. Okay, let's do this right, shall we? Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate each and every one of you. Welcome to the live recording of Cold Read the Podcast. Singular. Cold Read. No, not Cold Reads. I know you guys just heard a very confusing intro. We brought the Wayback Machine as we have in a couple of times because there was an issue. And you know what? This things happen. No big deal. Our host, of course, Ravenmane is not going to be here. Princess Pashley's not going to be here. We do have Renara, we have Eldurrino, we have Misty. Thank you everybody for being here, and myself. But thanks for those that are here, and thanks to those that are listening, either in person or through YouTube, or anywhere you find your podcasts. You found Cold Read the Podcast at Gmail, or the podcast itself. If you have any questions in regards to, or if you have an audition you want us to listen to, please submit it to, since I already said it, coldreadthepodcast at gmail.com. So guys, welcome to the show.
Let's go.
Howdy.
Scuff show for season 3. Here we are.
Yep.
Yeah?
This is the one and only, one and only massive amalgamation of poop. That's right, I said poop. Deal with it.
You do.
No turds?
No turds this time.
Hey, that was last week, all right? We've moved on.
You girl.
I think it was the week before, but that's fine. That's fine. We're all keeping track
Whatever.
here. So let's do what we always do. Let's pick it up from where we are. Let's reconvene and start over again. So let's check in with everybody. Misty. No, sorry. I was gonna say I'll start with you, Misty, for some reason. Renara, let's check on the other side of the world and see how it's going. Sheepers. I'm gonna go reset.
I think this is the best analogy for how this week has gone for pretty much all of us. This is great. No, it was shaping up to be a bit of a rubbish week, actually, to be honest. But for some reason, everything just kind of kicked off when Eldurrino sent me a casting call. I think around like Tuesday, and I looked at it and went, "Oh my god, this is amazing! I must try this." And then from then on, I kind of just spiraled into just doing loads and loads and loads of auditions this week. I feel so proud of myself for getting back into the swing of it. It was amazing. My wonderful people on my project, I'm going to shout them out because they are wonderful people. Gage Newman and Josh Jargon. They are two wonderful people that are on my project that are constantly so patient with me and continuously just like being really supportive and just everything with my audiobook series, and that's just helped me so much with just falling back into love of doing it. So chapter 4 is like mostly there. I've got to just figure out the right music for it, and then we're going into Foley, and then we're there, which is great. I have sent in my samples for a possible interestingness for Skywind, which will be, I can't say too much on it yet because I need the lead VA on the project to say yes or no to before I can actually say anything specifically.
Yeah.
But other than that, I've dyed my hair again for those who can see. Finally, I got rid of the blonde. Thank God, it was horrible. Right. It's things are going all right. Things are going a lot better than they were last week, and so I'm a lot happier than I have been in a while. So I'm gonna just ride this happy train until inevitably there's gonna be a crash and burn somewhere. But hey, we're not gonna worry about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you gotta take all of it, though, the ups and the downs.
Indeed,
Absolutely. 100%. Well, I'm glad that you're here. Thank you for being here. Have you ever thought of asking any of your supporting group if they'd want to be on and talk to us as a group?
I honestly was going to mention that at some point, but to be very honest, it has slipped through the cracks so many times that it's ridiculous. So I will ask them. I will ask them. It's more the case of I know that some of them are still like in college and they're really busy and things like that. So I don't want to feel like they have to, if that makes sense. So I will put it out there to them, and I will see. I don't know. Usually Eldurrino is the one who does stuff with that, so I wasn't sure.
We lost Misty.
Oh, no!
Bye, Misty.
This is shaping up to be a great.
Discord just crashed.
Okay, welcome back. When's your camp? There it is. Everybody somewhat comes back on.
I love it. I absolutely love it. I
Well,
love it when things get to a train wreck. This is
let's-
great.
Just the best podcast.
I know.
ever.
I knew we should have taken this week off. Honestly, it's one of those. It's like, oh, should I ask? Well, I mean, the best thing to do so they don't feel maybe like they have to. Let them know that you're passing on Ddlrino's info and have Ddlrino ask for you, and that way they won't feel pressured.
Okay.
I think that would work.
We will discuss later.
I have a plan that I cannot mention, but
Oh, secret.
it may or may not involve knives.
Oh, God.
Intimidation.
On-
Persuasion.
On that note, let's move on and see how Misty is. Misty, how was your week?
Yep.
So, work has still not been back to normal. Still working on that just yet. Still, unfortunately, haven't cleared the queue up enough to feel like I'm back on track. So I'm working on it. But the thing is that there was the main reason I was really busy was because I was trying to get into streaming more this week because there's a game that's going to leave Game Pass in like 2 weeks. So I was like, I need to play this now.
I was going to
And-
ask how the medium was going.
I really like it so far. It's been a really interesting experience, and I think I'm at a good pace where I think I will be able to finish it in time.
Cool.
So when I know that there are days where I practically don't turn off my PC after work until I go to sleep, that's when I know I've been busy because I haven't left this area relatively much. And apart from that, I did audition for stuff whenever I could.
Good.
I do have some good news. I did mention yesterday. I got booked for a Voice 123 project. Finally!
Yay!
I'm so freaking happy about that. Yes. So
Anything you can
they
tell
reached
us
out to
about it,
me.
or?
Yeah, it's a study. It's they call it a neuroscience study. So it's very formal, sort of several scripts where you just read off sort of human interactions, or conversations, basic conversations,
Yeah.
and you're not supposed to really like put that much super like emotion or inflection or anything. It's just reading off these lines as part of like a study for a thing that they're doing.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's gonna be a long process. It's quite a lot that I have to do, but I'm really excited, very happy I got this opportunity.
Yeah.
And just so happy I finally got something.
Is out of curiosity, you know how many words that you're gonna have to do?
Ooh, actually.
I
let me
asked because
check
this sounds
that.
very much like a TTS project.
A little bit.
Yeah. The thing is that it is, I remember it is quite a lot.
That's what I thought.
It was, let's see, 56 files.
Oh my
So
gosh.
yeah, it's 56 files of conversation. Oh my gosh, but I can't remember.
No,
How-
it's yeah. I remember
40
these.
42 minutes approximately of audio. Yeah.
That's not
Okay.
terrible. That's not bad. That's not bad.
bad.
Well, good.
Yeah.
Well, hey, the first booking is the hardest ones when it comes to these. Just get a positive review, and more will probably come behind it. So good job on that. I'm glad that that's working out. Hopefully it'll help with the initial cost of the membership. So
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
other than that, streaming going okay. I mean, obviously, yes, you're a good pace of the game. Are you having fun doing the streaming thing?
Oh, I am. Because the thing is, I don't really have any viewers, like maybe like one or two. So I am just focusing on the game.
Right.
And it's just fun. It's been really good because I haven't actually played a game like dedicated to playing one in a really long time because I've been focused on other things. So the excuse was there.
Good.
And this is just a random thing because of this particular situation. But other than that, I did want to start streaming every Monday at least. A game. I was doing one called Coffee Talk. Then I'm going to do Doki Doki where they don't have voice acting. So it allows me to sort of
To do your
try
part.
yeah, that's what I want to aim to do.
Cool.
Does the Ddlc Plus have voice acting in it?
I don't know. I'm going to get the regular version.
Because the original I know didn't. I didn't think that the Plus version had it either, but I haven't looked into that. So that's cool.
And
Very cool. For those of you that are listening, you want to check out Misty. It's Misty Rose 98 at Twitch. So hopefully we'll get you past the 50 mark and we can get you affiliated and we'll go from there.
that'd be great.
Very cool. Anything else? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut in. No,
Yeah,
you're good.
pretty much that's it for now.
Congratulations. I'm glad to hear that.
Thank you.
Yay. Ddlrino, how is your side of the world going? Sounds
Yeah.
about like mine. Yeah.
Yeah, it's been I don't know, good and bad. So I got cast for that role that I mentioned last week or 2 weeks ago, where I am doing Trunks from Dragon Ball.
What, you actually got it though?
Yes.
Ooh.
Yeah. So they asked me to, or they shortlisted me, asked me to read from their script. They asked me to choose which scene I wanted to do. I said, you know, I picked one scene. I was like, I think this is probably the best thing in here, just because it shows a variety of emotions within like a page and a half. And they're like, yeah, I agree. All right, let's have you do it. So I did it. Next day or 2 days afterwards, they said that they would love to cast me for it. They agreed to my rates, which is fantastic.
Nice.
And I think this will be more of a long-term project as far as I'm aware. So pretty excited for that. On top of that, one of the other projects that I was a part of that was postponed indefinitely, the woman that is running it is starting it back up, reached back out to me and said, hey, are you still interested in doing this character for us? And I was like, yep, of course. So I'm going to be doing that again. That one's not like, I mean, it's not a hugely paid project. They upped their price from $125 to $200 per completed hour. But I mean, I get like 7 minutes of speaking time, so not like a huge thing, but it is something that I agree to. And I did one other projects before, and I liked it a lot. So yeah, so I'm gonna do that. Otherwise, I don't think I got any other auditions in this week, not that I can recall.
Yeah.
I was going to do some yesterday, and then there has been a guy working on the apartment next to me / like the basement area of that apartment, and creating a fuck ton of noise. So I was like, okay, I'll just do it tomorrow morning, you know? And yeah, he's still here again. So
haven't had much of a chance
tonight.
Yeah.
Do auditions, record some of the lines I need to get done. And then in the meantime, I also have a song that I have to work on for someone that I cannot mention. Yeah.
Cool.
So I'll be doing that.
Very cool.
Yeah. So also I'm very sad because I can't afford to buy Dying Light 2. And that makes me really sad.
I'm sorry.
Give me my tax refund, IRS.
Very, very nice. So for me, work has been busy. I pulled actually a 12-hour day because we had some technical issues, and I ended up taking Friday off. I still haven't fully recovered. I had the strep throat, and I don't know if I picked something else up or what, but I'm still not there. I'm still not at 100%. I haven't been feeling great. Didn't do much in the way of auditioning. I just realized I haven't auditioned in like 9 weeks. But I mean, at the same time, for me, I've got scripts that are coming in from J Show. I had the table reading for Energies, which is the Honeyham production, the original superhero one. And they showed us concept art of everything, how it's going to be animated. I love the way that it looks. I think the table read went really, really well. I actually recorded it, so at some point maybe I'll be able to play some of that back. I'll talk to Sunshine before the release and see if we can drum up some interest, and maybe even bring somebody on and do some interviewing. But other than that, cool. I have been playing Dying Light 2. And
that came out, yeah.
Thank you, Ddlrino. Yeah, that did come out. Can I show you guys something? I know you all are tuned in to I have a problem with this game, and I will show you. Okay. I will show you all what I'm talking about, and hopefully this will go quick. So I'm going to share the. I'm going to unshare this screen.
Background.
No.
The video. Okay.
No, but that would be funny, wouldn't it? So I got a new sharing. So this is called the Fish Monk side quest. And as I was watching and listening to this dialogue internally, I was having issues with it. So let's see if this goes the way I want it to go. Yeah, okay, so it's gonna take him a second to get there. I'm gonna pause this. I'm gonna put him right in front of the character, hopefully. There he is.
Okay.
So this guy's name is Stavros, I believe.
Okay.
Here we go.
Wait, who's gone? Do you need help?
Oh, no, my friend. Thank you. But there's nothing to be done here.
But why? Who did you lose?
My fish. My precious fish. Can you imagine what it's like to keep fish when water is so hard to come by? But they were my friends. My teachers.
So I'm going to pause it for a second. At this point, as I'm watching the game, I'm trying to decide, is this guy Hispanic? Is he Middle Eastern? I can't...
All I can think is Khajiit. All I can think is just Moroccan Khajiit.
The name is
Stavros.
Greek.
Yes.
The name is Greek. Sounds Greek for me.
Okay.
Okay.
A little more.
Just a
little more.
Welcome to the real world. Clean water is a luxury. Maybe you're better off not wasting water on fish anyway.
I don't blame you for not understanding. You would have to spend some time with fish to understand.
I'm getting a little Italian now.
I know. I get Italian. I get Hispanic.
Why would you sacrifice water for fish?
So he's going to go back to that part. But let's go.
All the dead fish I have seen floating belly up. Such a sad sight.
Okay, I'm gonna stop it there. But it's just as I'm watching it, it's just driving me up the wall because it's like I can't pin down this guy's accent, and it was all over the place. And there's another. You're gonna run into a kid that's doing like the worst impression of Oliver Twist I have ever heard in my life. So I have. Oh yeah. Oh my God. So I have a little bit of issue when it comes to the voice actors. Well, really, you can't blame the actors. You're right. I was about to go that way. The voice director that let that go through. It's like, oh my God. I'm sure you guys were rushing at the end, but just be ready for that.
I have one comment on that. Silver something Studios, I don't know, the company that makes this game, have never had consistent voice acting in any of their games. Dead Island voice acting was horrible.
Yes, it was.
Oh yeah.
Dying Light 1, it got better, but it was still pretty awful overall. So I know what to expect going into that game. Good voice acting is not one of them. Because every time I think of that company, all I hear is Sveti from Dead Island when you are supposed to bring her like diamonds or something, and then she like offers to have sex with you or something like that. Super weird. She's like got this very annoying like Eastern or Middle Eastern voice, like, oh, if you like Sveti.
Oh man.
Like super obnoxious, and like you could actually like abuse that mechanic to gain like a shit ton of money in that game, but then you'd have to sit there and listen to that same line over and over.
Yeah,
it was the worst.
So the main actor Aiden is great. I thought it was somebody known. I'm not familiar with the actor. I looked through them and they've been in some stuff.
Roger Smith?
No, it was like Jeff something or other. I looked him up earlier.
Really?
Yeah. We'll come back to that in a second. I'm sure we'll IMDb as we go. I didn't recognize him from any of the work that he had done, but he's great, and other main actors are absolutely fabulous. Jonah Scott is the name, who does Aiden Caldwell.
That's so crazy because he sounds like Roger Smith was in the first game and did the main character.
Not the same character.
No. I'm saying the main character. He played Kyle Crane, and this one, Aiden, sounds exactly the same. So the fact that this guy was able to like emulate that voice is fantastic. It's almost impossible to tell them apart.
Oh my gosh, no! I love Jonah Scott. Oh my gosh.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah, he's done a lot of anime by the looks of it. He's
I am.
I know from Beastars, I am in love. It's like, oh.
So we found Misty's Jennifer Hale.
Yeah, that's Misty's Jennifer Hale. Ddlrino, you got some homework. Let's see if we can get Jonah Scott on the show.
He was in JoJo Bizarre Adventures as well. Oh, cool.
Oh, he's done a lot of.
He has a beautiful voice, and he is also beautiful as a person.
What? He's in Beyond Skyrim? That's so cool. Oh my God, he's in Elder Scrolls Online as well. Sorry, I'm having a body, but mine freak out now too. Right, okay, all's good. Everything is absolutely fine.
All right, to the topic for today.
Rambles.
Oh, come on. I've done worse than that.
Also,
You have done.
participated
You
as
have
well.
absolutely
Yeah,
done
that was
worse.
a Misty and Ren rambles there. Okay.
I don't have one for Misty yet.
Fun girl is what
No.
that was.
Yeah. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm sharing our today's screen for everybody to watch. I just need to put it on the main screen over here. All right, we're going to be watching Crownstag. This was a very interesting topic that I had an opportunity to look at, and with his permission, we're going to go ahead and share and watch this video. This is a 15-minute video. This is voiceover tips. It's 6 voiceover problems you need to be aware of. And I haven't watched the whole thing. I just watched a little bit of the beginning. So here we go.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Crownstag Voiceover. My name is Neil Glasgow. So I always say in all my videos, you can be a voiceover artist. But to paraphrase a very famous movie scientist, just because you could doesn't mean you should. In this video, I'm going to give you 6 voiceover problems you should probably be aware of. With that in mind, let's get into it. So at number 6, one thing that a lot of people really don't think about, and is the bane of my wife's life: you are always on call. Now, what does that mean? I get emails fairly regularly asking about work. I have clients that need work done, revisions done. I might be working on an audiobook, whatever it is. When you start in this industry, when you start getting work in, or when the auditions start coming in, that's a big one. You get the notifications from Voices or Ddlc or any other of these sites. There's an audition coming in, and it's a quick turnaround. And you feel that pressure to always be available to do the auditions, to service the client. Because ultimately, especially when you're first starting out, you need, that income coming in. But also when you are established, when you started doing this for a while, you need to be available for your clients who are going to be all over the world. And it's a very difficult work-life balance to maintain. And that's an odd thing that a lot of people can sometimes come up against, because they assume that when you get into voiceover, your days are your own. You could do 2 minutes worth of work and $1,000. And actually, you can do that. Are you going to do that every day? Probably not. Not unless, you are a named voice actor, really. You're going to do these smaller jobs. You might do 2 or 3 of them a day. And you want to do 2 or 3 of them a day because, again, it's not a massive bit of work. But there might be one at 8 a.m., one at 2 p.m., one at 6 p.m., whatever it is. But it just means you always have to be available. And the reality is, at least from my own experience, it can kind of destroy your weekends. We just had a bank holiday weekend here in the UK. Not that you would know from the amount of work that I did. So be aware of that. Be aware of the pressure that this job can bring, especially when you're starting out. You are always on call, and you need to have that downtime, but it is balancing the needs, or the want for downtime, and the necessity of earning a wage. Number 2.
Before we get into number 2, any comments on? I've dealt with this. I know my stuff is super quick turnaround. I need to get it done the day I get it in order for them to be able to use it. So I've been down that road, and my wife is very understanding when it comes to the stuff that I want to do when it comes to voice acting. So I'm lucky there.
I haven't exactly experienced that side of things yet, because I haven't really started down the paid work avenue yet. So a lot of the stuff I'm doing is, because it's free, it's quite understanding. It's do it when you can, sort of thing, and it's not immediately needed. It's the thing that I'm coming to terms with, actually, with using voices.com, which is they want a super quick turnaround, which at the minute with the job I have, I'm very limited. I am, and it's something I can't change at the minute. I'd like to, I'm hoping to, and hopefully by the end of this year I'll be in a different job than I am currently, to help facilitate this a bit better. But it's one of those things where I'm like, I can't reasonably just drop everything and do this right now. And I am aware, and which is why I'm always blessed and thankful that I've got Skywind in the background that can always give me something to do as and when I need to do it, if that makes sense. So it's that thing that I think I'm at the threshold of, and I'm starting to try and figure out how I can do that, and it's hard.
So, I mean, I'm in your position as well. Even though I've had some paid projects that I've done, the deadlines for such have been like a month out or are just continuously going. So I've been pretty lucky in that regard, and things have been pretty lenient for me. But I think in order to kind of get into that mentality, you just need to start telling yourself, like, set yourself a schedule as to when you're going to look at auditions, bookmark them as soon as you get home from your job, get in the booth as soon as you possibly can, and just get them done. And that will start getting you into the mindset of, okay, I need to be actively looking for auditions. I need to be checking my email to see if anybody's reached out, and I don't know, it's a bit obsessive, I guess you could say, but it's good. Like, it means you're always going to be on top of things. Like, I mean, there's a project that I auditioned for a game that they reached out to me like the end of January about, and I have still been checking my email at least 2 to 3 times a day just to see if they have reached back, because I want to show that I can be prompt, I can be attentive. I am, going to do my best to work as fluidly with you as possible. So, I mean, when it comes to doing full-time voiceover, you basically are always on call.
And for us, even on the voices.com, our emails come in starting from like 7 a.m.
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, and sometimes overnight too, obviously I don't believe you should be waking up at 4 a.m. just so you can audition for a job. Like, that can wait until you actually wake up in the morning. But, as Neil said, you have clients all over the world. They have specific deadlines that they have to meet. Therefore, they're going to pass that on to you. So, 8 a.m. over there is 8 p.m. here. You need to be able to get into the booth whenever you can. And that's why I feel like it's important to have like a more semi-permanent setup, I have my booth, Zamoody has his booth, Renara has her cube booth. Like, we all, for the most part have a dedicated setup that if we need to move anything into, we can just do it really quick usually and then record it. So
cool.
For me, at least, with Fiverr, plenty of experience with this. And most of the clients that I have are like, I'd say from like the Middle East, Europe. So they send messages like they need revisions at like, I don't know, like 3 a.m, 4 a.m. sometimes. And it's like, I have to work.
Right.
So I can't quite do this until after I am off work. So it's just like, it's a little much. When it's like something super urgent, I used to be able to just, right before work, head in to do something really quickly. And I can, but it is just one of those situations. It's like, I've already had quite a bit of experience with this, so I know that these are just things I do for $5, $10.
Yeah.
So if I do get the chance to do more stuff like from Voice 123, something that's higher paid, I will be willing to do so. Absolutely.
Right. Absolutely. And I've done that before. I've gotten the email at like 2 a.m. I get up at 3:30. I have a chance to jump in real quick, do that one line, send it off, and then run to work. So sometimes that happens. All right. Let's move on to point 2.
You're not going to earn what you think you're going to earn. At least not yet. So doing a bit of research around this, and even from my own experience, your first couple of years, certainly your first year, unless you have an amazing first year, you're probably going to earn under $15,000 or pounds. And that's actually quite a good first year in voiceover. You've got to bear in mind.
I'm going to stop for a second, Doreen.
Sorry.
I mean, 15,000 the first year, that would be incredible for all of us, right? But I mean, at the same time, we're not doing it full time.
So
let me just say, I believe he's speaking for those that are doing this full time.
Full time,
Yeah.
absolutely,
Not
100%.
part time like
Yeah.
us, because like I
I
think
got-
last year I made maybe like $150, $200 total. So
Yeah.
like
made
15 grand. I don't know.
I literally made $25 in my first
not
year
true.
of doing
But we're
this.
all
No,
having- well,
it's true.
okay.
First
Okay,
time
now,
to do it.
I was
first
gonna say
year.
I paid you
No,
as
not even-
well. That
Well,
was
yeah, no.
technically this year.
Oh, okay, so technically, I have not been paid until like literally my 7th year into this. So,
Yeah.
and then it was when I started with you guys, was then I got my first paid one, which was that Kaldheim thing, which was like $25, which when converted into English pounds was less. So I think at the minute I have at a grand total of about however many years of doing this, about $65.
But for us, again, we're not doing this full time. We're not trying to do this full time. But that's what I wanted to clarify. I mean, we're not in this full time. So let's continue.
Everything that goes into you earning that amount of money. And that might be a bunch of £100 jobs, £200, £300 jobs. It might be a significant amount of £50 jobs or $50 jobs. And that is all about you getting your name established with the right individuals and the right organizations, and ultimately building your experience and capability in being a voice actor. And I say this is a lot of people go, oh, wow, they hear the numbers of 300 for 10 minutes worth of work. Great, I'll do that all day long. Yeah, of course you will. But the reality is you might get that once a week or once a month. You really need to have realistic expectations of what your earning potential can be short term and what it will be long term. Now, when you get into the long term work, when you've been doing this for a number of years, you're established, you have clients, etc., etc., you can look for that to be 30,000 a year, 50,000 a year, maybe even a reasonable 90 to 100,000 pounds a year every year. But that doesn't come day one, year one, maybe even year two. That amount of money takes time to build because ultimately, as I've said many times before, this is a business that you need to run, and you need to get your head on straight for running the business. Number 3.
All right, stop in there for a second. I think we've already pretty much talked about all of this. I think for the most part for us, it's make sure your bills are paid before you even jump in. As much as you want to do this full time, I'm running this for the long run. At 50, I can retire, which means that I'll have an incoming paycheck, and then I can sit here and be available 24 hours a day, and we'll see where that goes. Yeah. I mean, 50,000 a year, that's I'd be down for that. I mean, who wouldn't be?
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
That would be amazing.
That's more than what I earn anyway, so it's like, yeah.
I will say as well, for those looking to get into it, like whether it be part-time or full-time, you need to make sure you keep yearly taxes into account, because generally speaking, your paychecks are not going to be taxed, and therefore you need to be mindful of how much you're earning. It's usually a good rule of thumb that you set aside half of whatever you're making through your business in order to pay taxes. It may not necessarily be exactly 50% that you'll have to pay at the end of the year, but it's, again, rule of thumb, take, you're making $500 from a project, set aside $250 of it into a separate account and do not touch it.
ColdRead does not have any actual accountants on site. Please go ahead and consult one and go through taxes. Okay.
Hey, I took an accounting class, all right? I can speak sort of.
That does not...
A class.
Of course.
I took an accounting class like 13 years ago.
If you have any questions
like
regarding
Donald
taxes,
Trump
go ahead and refer
saying,
to
"I can run the
Eldurrino.
world."
Let's move on to point 3.
Yeah.
You've landed a client. Brilliant. Now do it again. The biggest thing in this industry, rather the biggest thing in this job industry, it's all the right thing. Building your client base. It is amazing when you get your first client. It is amazing when you start seeing money coming in. But to get to that first client, you are going to have to work your backside off. You're going to have a quality product. You don't just get that overnight. You're going to have a good sound, a good booth, equipment, whatever. You don't get that overnight. And when you finally get your first client, brilliant. That client may use you 1, 2, 10, 15 times. Maybe over the course of a year, but they're going to use you multiple times. That's the hope. But you can't rely on a single client. You have to rely on multiple, which means you have to do this over and over and over again. The expectation that you're going to go on the pay-to-play platforms and earn a career, fallacy. The expectation that you're going to get an agent and earn a career, fallacy. You are the business owner. You have to generate your own income, supported, perhaps supplemented, possibly, by the pay-to-play websites and agents, if you get hold of them, to get you your work. Otherwise, you are going to crash and burn in this industry, and you're not going to reach the levels that you want to reach. Building your client base is the biggest fundamental aspect of being a voiceover, because ultimately, if you can't sell your voice, you are just a good product with no one to listen to. Number 4.
Stopping at 3.
I agree with that. I
No,
mean,
100%.
He's exactly right. I mean, you are a business. You need to market yourself as such. You know, like, I have the cure for the common cold. Not really. Don't take this in literal terms, but I hypothetically have the cure for the common cold, you know? Like, that's great and all, but if nobody knows about it, then what the fuck am I supposed to do with it, you know? Like, you need to be able to step out and say, hey, here's what I have to offer. What do you think? Would you pay me money to have the cure for the common cold?
No representative called Read the Process has the cure for the common cold. All right.
Go
ahead.
I was just gonna say I find this really hard. And I'm gonna see if I can. I'm going to see if I can eloquently word this.
Okay.
In the fact of this is the thing that I think upsets me the most and niggles me the most of, because I was always told I was never good enough, so that's always going to play in the back of my mind consistently. So I've got this thing of it's you keep going, you keep at it, and you do start to wonder. Nobody really, because I've made my demo reel, I've put all the additions out, I've been doing my best on voices, and it's kind of like you got to keep going. I keep telling myself it's fine, it'll happen, just gonna keep going. But I can tell for probably a lot of people out there that they're all going to be in a similar position of I'm getting nothing. Oh God, should I try? And I think for me that's where I'm at with this, if that makes sense, because I can be smiley all I want, but it's always going to be in the back of my head of, like, I have the product that I want to show people, and then I'm trying, but I have no idea how to run the business side of it, if that makes sense. I've asked for help from many different people, and the response I keep getting is all the same of there is no one way. And it's completely individual to you. And I struggle with that because I like to have a structure to work off of, so I can then figure out, right, I can do it my way, but I've got the building blocks in place. There is nothing like that in this industry, and it's the one thing that I'm really struggling with in regards to, okay, how do I do this then? And I'm trying different things, and no spaghetti is sticking to the wall, and yeah, that's where I sit on this.
Okay.
What does anyone else
If
think?
I may.
Go ahead.
One, I love spaghetti. Two, they're right. There's no one single way to do it.
Yeah.
That doesn't necessarily mean that you can't use a structure that has already been implemented. It is never a bad idea to research running a self-starter business, so that you can get some ideas and employ what works best for you. When it comes to voice acting, again, I'm not an accountant, I'm not a businessman, but really it's just getting the motivation and getting the confidence to step out of your comfort zone and say, here I am, world, let me do something for you. I know it's not easy for any one single person usually, but again, like, it all starts with building your client base. Like Neil was just saying, you really need to take the time, reach out to people, and say you nail. That was gonna sound really perverted. Say you get like an agent or a client. That's going to give you consistent work. That's great. That's fantastic. You're starting on the road, but you don't look at an internet service provider. They don't provide service to one single person. They provide it to hundreds or thousands or hundreds of thousands of people in order to help maintain the costs of running said business. And it's going to be the same thing for you. You're always going to, well, not always, upgrading equipment, recording new demo reels. You will have to invest in yourself at some point. So it's always a good idea to keep building your client base so that you can pay your bills, pay your costs to run the business, et cetera, et cetera. I'm going to shut up.
It's the problem of how do you get that client base? Because you can audition for as many things as you want, and you can just put yourself out there for as many times as you want, and then I don't know.
What you're looking for is a result, and unfortunately, when it comes to this stuff, is you're going to have to keep throwing stuff. You're just going to have to keep putting yourself out there.
It just needs to be said, if that makes sense, because sometimes it's like you sit in it for so long and you forget. So it's always good to have a reminder.
Remember, for me, it took me like 6 months to get my first bite out of voices.com. So don't get discouraged. It'll eventually happen. You just have to keep putting yourself out there for it.
Yep.
Let's continue. I'm sorry, Misty, did you have anything you wanted to add, or are you good?
For right now, yeah, it's just I agree.
Okay.
That's what it's really.
Let's go.
The pay-to-play sites.
Oh.
Now, there is a fallacy. Been using that word a lot today. Maybe it was in one of my scripts. There is an expectation in the market at the moment that basically says if you're not on Voices, if you're not on Voice 123 or any of the other big pay-to-play sites, you're not getting access to the world's biggest marketplace for opportunities for voiceover. And there is a genuine argument to say that that is correct. There are buttloads of auditions that go on those platforms. And the rub of that is you are going to have to spend your hard-earned money that you might not have disposable to join those platforms. Sometimes it's 300, 600, thousands of dollars or pounds to join those platforms. It's a little bit insane. And the problem I have with that, and don't get me wrong, I've used them, but the problem I have with that is the competition base for you is mental, right? It is absolutely insane. There are so many voice actors out there on those platforms vying for the same jobs. And where some of the platforms will cap how many people they let into a particular job, they might cap that at 100 or more. And again, if you're not quick to get to it, or you're not in the right region, or whatever it might be, you've got a hell of a competition pool that you are paying to be a part of. And I know people that have been on Voices for years, maybe landed a couple of jobs. I know people that have been on Voices for years and land regular work. And that's kind of the problem. It's a crapshoot. It's an absolute crapshoot. Do you know what doesn't cost me any money? Working directly with clients. It's just a better way to do things. But it's really up to you and how you want to run your career, whether you're going to be involved in these platforms. And as I say, I have used them. Do I still use all of them? Number 5.
Okay. Basically goes exactly to what we were just talking about. I mean, you can see how many people are putting in for a job on voices.com. And generally it's 80 to 100. This is not. You have to be there. You have to be one of the first ones to be heard. So don't get discouraged. Go ahead.
Voice 123, it's about 50 something for the most part. For the ones that I've submitted, at least, it's caps at 50, I think, that the proposals they receive.
Right.
And that's why they go away so quick for the most part. It's like they're no longer accepting proposals, or they have a really short timeline for when they want that to cap out. And it does help, but still, the problem is that you do an investment, you make an investment, and you're not guaranteed at all that you're going to get that investment back. Except for Voices, which is way more expensive. It's tough to really go into that.
Yeah. But then again, I mean, like, you know, the payouts for that site are, I don't know. Pretty decent compared to other sites. Like I think the lowest maybe I've seen on there is like $100 for a
Yeah, I think
very
that's the minimum.
short 30-second script. Yeah,
Yeah.
so like
They're pretty good.
you get a few jobs and you've already paid back your investment.
Yeah, that's the goal, I think, is pay back your membership, and then you can go from there.
Yeah, and no, I have to agree with Neil on this. Like, over the past month or so, I mean, granted, I have not been auditioning on voices as much as I probably should be in order to have a chance to make back my investment. But yeah, it's very similar. A lot of the jobs that I see roll in, at least into my email, are during the middle of the day whilst I'm at work. And so by the time I get home, I look at these auditions, if it's even like something that I'm even remotely capable of doing, it's already got 30, 40, 50 people that have already submitted their auditions. And it is a bit discouraging. I shouldn't let it discourage me necessarily, but it sucks to see, 50 people are already ahead of me and I'm now at the back of the line. It's not an easy thing to deal with, and who knows, you may not even have your audition listened to. Like Voices in particular has the ability to check whether or not your auditions have been listened to by the project creator or not. And I'd say maybe like 10 to 15% of mine have been listened to. The other ones have not. So
yeah, I'm in a very similar position in the sense of like, again, I get the emails of when they happen whilst I'm at work, and it sucks. But also, what I didn't realize until I actually got into it was that it separates what jobs by region. Like stuff for you guys, I can't see, and I don't like that, because I can understand why, because it's trying to keep it within the same sort of time frame so that you're able to, get things back and you're working along the same thing. But it limits you to, like, I once had about 7 jobs available, and half of them were for middle-aged. And because I've got a low voice, I put that down as a thing of, I could possibly do that. But I'm getting a lot of things. Well, I'm not getting how do you put it? The feedback I'm getting is no feedback at all, if that makes sense. So I have this weird thing of, I think I sound either too young or whatever it might be, that I don't know. This is me speculating. But it's that thing of, half of the auditions that I have are for 30 to 40 years old, and I'm doing my best with those, and we don't know. There's barely, if I had put down just my actual age bracket, I would have barely anything, because most of it is for overseas. It's for America, or it's for Asia, or it's the other places, like things like that. And because it's so limited to the time frame, there's really not much going on for me. So I'm having a look at them, doing what I can for some of them, and then kind of just going, for a lot of them going, should I? Because I'm getting like 30% match, or I think I've only ever had a 90% match about 5 times on Voices.
Well, don't take the matching percentage as a sign of whether or not you can do it or not. Check every single one, because it's all based on tags that you assign for yourself. And if you don't have the right tags, it's going to show a lower percentage. So
they have a weird algorithm on there.
Attention to that.
Yeah,
it's super goofy, but yeah, I would say just check every single one on the list. Don't bother paying attention to the rating.
Okay.
The way it works for that, I think, is that as long as you're in a minimum percentage, they send that to you. Like, as long as you meet that, I think that's how it goes on. On Voice 1, 2, 3. So it's just to give you an idea of whether it would be something in your range, but you still check it. I still recommend checking it. And the thing with this is that when you mentioned the feedback, unfortunately, that's something that a lot of new people really need to. That would be one of the first things I could tell someone new going into this. When you audition for stuff like this, most likely you will not get feedback on this. You will just be listened to, and that's why I'm taking classes, and it's always recommended to still be taking classes or courses, anything, so that you get feedback on not directly your auditions, but on your performance in general with different things. Because that can help indirectly with those auditions, because unfortunately, you're not going to hear back on whether you did good or not. So need some way to know whether you can improve.
If you wish to have your audition or demo reel analyzed by some semi-professional voice actors, please email us at coldreadthepodcast@gmail.com. Thank you.
We'd love to listen to them.
Let's continue.
Chasing your client for payment.
Oh.
So, when you get your client, hit the mic, when you get your client and you've done a great job and you've sent an invoice, you're like, brilliant, I'm being paid. Invoice. Invoices mean bugger all until there is money in your account. And you will come up against various things. People who are very communicative until the invoice turns up. People who say, that goes to my accountant. Unfortunately, they're on holiday for the next 3 weeks, hoping that they're going to come back to you. Phone call after phone call. Are you on our PSL? Are you set up on our system? Do you have this reference number? There can be so many things. And the reality is every client is different, and you have to have a method that allows you to track what is going out the business, your business, and what you're expecting as your income. And especially when you are trying to make this your income and you've got your own bills and taxes and all that sort of stuff to pay, you have to track that. And without sounding like an arse, which this might sound a little bit like, I've even fallen into the trap where I've forgotten to chase a payment because there's so many things up in the air.
Wow.
If you don't have a method of keeping track of all this stuff and going back and chasing your clients, and believe me, you are going to have to chase your clients. You are going to lose the money that you've worked so hard to generate. And number 6.
All right, before we get to our last one. Now, I will say this, voices.com has Surepay. So I've never run into this. It takes 2 weeks after they release it for it to show up to your account, but it's nice that I know it's going to be there. So I have never had to chase anybody yet. And
that is definitely the advantage of pay-to-play sites, at least in regards to voices.com, is if the creator decides to fuck off and disappear, like, you still get paid regardless, which is fantastic. But for voice actors that want to not use those pay-to-play sites and do a more direct method, as Neil suggested, you are going to be talking with clients directly, and therefore you need a way of managing what project it is, who it's done by, what it's going to pay, when you're going to do it, et cetera, et cetera. And I think Neil had mentioned before that he tracks everything in a spreadsheet, which I also highly encourage. Like you can easily set up columns for exactly what you want. You can list everything that you need to. And again, it's just finding that motivation to do it and do it well. You check that spreadsheet, make sure you're following up on people, make sure you're checking up for auditions, make sure you're checking to see if this goes against what we normally talk about, where we say send it and forget it, but start to also check up on people that haven't responded in a while and say, hey, I sent these things your way, whatever. Or rather, I should say, people that you haven't auditioned for yet, or you have auditioned for and they said no or didn't reach back out to you. Follow up, say, hey, is there any other work that you'd like done?
I think when money becomes involved, it is not a set it and forget it. When it comes to auditioning, on the other hand, definitely set it and forget it.
Yeah.
All right, just continue.
Terribly written scripts.
Oh, boy.
When you land your first jobs, you might be elated to get them.
Mm-hmm.
And when you start working with clients, and I work with a lot of clients all over the world, as I've said, and sometimes the script writers are people who English is not their first language. Now, I'm just going to give you a very generic example. I do a lot of work on YouTube. We all know this. I work with channels who are fledgling, who are just getting off the ground, and I like to work that way because eventually I'm the voice of the channel, and when the channel takes off, it's a very lucrative thing.
Mm-hmm.
Key point, look at YouTube work. However, what that means is sometimes that is long-form narration, 10 minutes or so. And if you're working on a very badly written script, the problem you have as the voice actor, or rather, no, yeah, the problem you have, I was going to say me, but the problem we all have. If it's a terribly written script, that encourages mistakes. And if there's no grammar, or the grammar's incorrect, the words are wrong, the spelling's wrong, the formatting's, whatever it is, the worse the script is, not only is it going to take you longer to record because of all the mistakes you're going to make, it's going to take you significantly longer to edit. Now, that can be like, okay, well, they're paying me, whatever. But say you're doing one of these jobs that you might see that come up that's $10 a job, right? $10 a voiceover. And you spend 10 minutes recording, and then you spend another 20 minutes editing. Is your money worth, or rather, is your time worth $10 per half an hour, $20 for an hour? What could you be doing in that hour? How much time is that taking up in your day? And this is just an example for YouTube channels. I've done it for... I did an audiobook that was so poorly translated that, you know, you read it verbatim, but I'm sitting there going, what? What are you trying to say? What is that word? And I'm going back to the editor and I'm saying, like, did you mean this? And, you know, we're trying to match up certain things. And the more time that you try to help, and, you know, I try and help where I can, again, that devalues everything that I do. And you need to be aware that these jobs are out there. You might be, again, if you're just starting out, very willing to take those jobs. And there's nothing wrong with that. Work is work. I've always said that. But please be aware and confident enough to go back to the people who have produced the script and say to them, this isn't right, that isn't right, and try to come to a happy medium. I have very happily walked away from more work than not because of poorly written scripts. And that's not because I'm in a privileged position by any means, but I understand that based on what the budget is that the client has to spend and the time that I am spending doing that and how much I hated doing it, not worth it. Not worth your time. And you need to be aware that that sort of thing, especially now in the age of Fiverr and Upwork and Freelancer and all that sort of stuff, and be on those sites, no problem with it at all. But you are going to get a lot of cheaply written material that maybe is not of the best quality out there. And that goes part and parcel with the argument of, you know, cheap work for cheap work. You might be the best part of that production, but it does mean that you have to contend with all the poor bits that are out there as well. And that's it. Those are my 6 pretty weird and off-putting aspects of voiceover as a job. If you found it remotely helpful, drop me a like, subscribe, and please do hit that notification bell. And if you've got an opinion on anything I've said, drop me a comment in the comment section. And remember, you can absolutely be a better informed voiceover artist. I'll see you in the next video.
That is Crownstag. Yeah, bye, Neil. That's Crownstag and YouTube. Please go ahead. Yeah, if you have an opportunity, look him up. Friend of the show, very, very knowledgeable. Love to have him back soon, hopefully. Okay. Point 6. Oh, that's showing over there. I'll take that off. Here we go. Boop. I've talked about this before. J-Show Clips, Ray, who runs the website, English is obviously the second language. It's hard because you want to say it sometimes it just comes out and he's like, hey, dude, you said this and the script says this. It's like, that's kind of the way you're supposed to say it. Right. We had a whole conversation about, you know, the word Grand Prix, Grand P-R-I-X.
Grand Prix, yeah.
He wanted to say pricks.
Oh.
And okay. Later, and I'm like, okay, I mean, if that's what you want, that's what I'm going to give you. Later on, he's like, no, dude, you're right. But yeah, I mean, these are the things that happen.
Cause yeah.
Right. And at first I was like, when Neil was talking about that, like work is work, you know, you do what they ask you and you just accept it. Like I personally don't do that. Like if I go into a thing and I look at the audition script and it's not grammatically correct. Like, if there's a couple of mistakes, fine, I'll look over them. But if most of it is very poorly translated or whatnot, I don't even touch it, just because, like, I understand you're basically being paid for your time. And if I'm also having to rewrite a script and having to redo takes or stuff like that, it's going to be devalued a hell of a lot. And I generally stay away from those the best that I can, even though I know, like, some of it does pay very well. But again, like, you have to balance your time versus the value.
Because I came across, actually, like, Ren rambles. There was a job on voices.com, which was a video game, and it was a sort of like, what do you call it, like visual novel military style thing.
Okay.
And there was a character who was a she's like the secretary in charge of it, and it was for her character. And in the script, she was talking about herself in the third person, and it was like, this is blah blah your thingy, and I'm there going, but that's the character's name. So I did a couple of takes of how it was written, and then did a couple of takes of how I think they meant it. So I did both at the very least on that front, and I think it was strange to see that, and I think that's the only thing that comes to mind when we're talking about this thing. And I think I probably would have discussed more, because I imagine I think this was being produced in, like, probably India or the Middle East or somewhere like over there. So I can imagine, I can see why. So it's interesting, because I'd never thought about that much until he's just talked about it, if that makes sense. And now, with your point, Eldurrino, I'm kind of going, maybe I dodged a bullet, I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's that thing of, I was prepared to go in and have a conversation about sort of like the English side of things and whatnot. I don't think I'm not so off-putted by it, but then again, I probably need to experience it before I then go, oh boy,
Right.
big no sort of thing. So, I mean, I can see where he's coming from, but I'd like to, at the very least, experience that and figure it out for myself first, and then, like, for example, I mean, that other project that you recommended me for, Zamoody, and then obviously it didn't work out. I'm glad I went through that to figure that out. I'm a very practical person. I like to have an experience to be able to deal with and remember stuff. So, I'm not opposed until I realise it could be horrible, maybe, or something. I don't know, but I need to experience it first before I can comment too much.
Understandable.
Yeah.
I'm sure you see this a lot, Misty.
Oh, yes. So, yeah, I deal with a lot of people where English is their second language. And if it's a script where there's very little things that I notice when I'm reading it, and I can clear it up in that moment, or I can just do a retake, I do it. But Fiverr does give the option, depending on the gig, where you can put proofreading as like a separate thing that they can add on to it, like a separate cost. I think it adds like $5 onto it. I don't remember. I put that on mine because I was like, okay, I think for the ones that really require it, that would be something to suggest, because if it's really, really loaded with errors or things like that, I would need to actually do some proofreading to this so I can read it without it being a jumbled mess or me just having to do a ton of retakes.
Yeah.
So I put that option there. Haven't had many issues lately with it. And yeah, I had to have that problem like Zamoody, where there was one client where I tried to correct something and then it's like, no, it's to be read as it is. It's like, oh.
Yeah. That's
okay. Sure.
Well, in some cases, that's, kind of the thing. Like, one of the shows that I watched, Trailer Park Boys, one of the characters has horrible English, like absolutely horrible English, and that's just how it is, like, so in some instances, yeah, you are supposed to read it as the script is written. But no, I'm glad you brought that up, Misty, because yeah, in some instances, it is important to have like little nuances in your sales pitch, essentially. Like, yeah, if you need to proofread something, you're taking more time out of your day in order to do it. Therefore, you should be aptly compensated. And I would love to discuss this on another episode, because I think there's I personally found that there are little things that I want to start charging more for. For instance, with this project that I just got cast for, I quoted them $2 per line, but if it has a scream or me yelling in it, it's double that.
Oh, okay.
Just because
Smart.
it's going to be, I know it's going to be harder on my voice, but at the same time, I know I can give them a very good performance. But because it is more physically exerting than just reading a simple line is, I feel like it is important to do that, because if I damage my voice because of that, I should probably be paid more so I can at least pay my hospital bill.
Get your medical taken care of, yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, but we'll talk about that later.
I love it.
But when people come to you, looking for work or looking for you to complete their work, yes, I do agree. You should probably charge a proofreading cost if it's necessary. But auditioning for a job with a poor script is usually a bad sign. You can still do it and just include the proofreading cost in your bid, but like pay-to-play sites, it's a race to the bottom. People are going to want to get the cheapest cost that they can. So I don't know. It's a double-edged sword in that, and that's why I stay away from them personally.
Well, again, thank you to Crownstag for Neil letting us use his video. Shout out to you, buddy. If you have any questions, he's got some great topics on YouTube. Go follow that channel, Crownstag, please. That's it for the show today. This is great. I mean, we started kind of roughly, but I think the conversations that we had, I love the way we're going to have to do these more often. So if you have a video that you want us to watch, ColdReadthePodcast@gmail.com. If you have audio that you want us to listen to, if you have any questions, we have a great network of people out there that we can reach out to, hopefully get you an educated answer. And don't be afraid. We've critiqued ourselves and we've gotten better over it. So don't be afraid to send us those files. We'd love to hear from you. Well, let's restart again and say next week, Misty, please. It'll be. And I do believe we have a guest,
create a
right?
channel that will say who does the intro. But yes, next week's guest is Garrett Tilford.
Yeah, Garrett Tilford. Ooh.
Nice.
Oh, and I did notice something about the video that I wanted to mention, just as a little small little pro tip. I noticed that he had one of those like clicker things and his hand sometimes in some scenes when he was moving his hands. That's actually very useful. I saw that from another voice actor on TikTok. To have something to generate like a noise while you're recording if you need to do a retake helps tremendously with editing. So just for everyone in general.
If you don't have that, I use Pickup, and I know those of you that have taken my recording, you've heard me say Pickup because it has a very particular wavelength that looks it's like long line, short line, long line, and I know that's me doing a Pickup, so something to keep in mind. Pen too? Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, we got a guest coming up next week. If you have any questions, go ahead and email us. Thank you so much for being here. Those of you that are present or watching on YouTube, longer than usual video, but that's because of the conversations in between, and I absolutely loved it. So, Misty, take it away, please. Not Misty, gosh darn it. Renara, take it away, please.
I am not going to go on a massive tirade today because I don't think I'm in a position to say half the stuff I used to say because I'm struggling to believe them at the minute. So I am going to simply tell myself and everyone else is if it starts to drag and it starts to feel not great, just as I always say, my little mantra, just one foot in front of the other and just keep going and just don't stop. And that's all I'm going to say.
That works.
Oh,
Take a
I
break.
give you a hug.
Yeah, virtual hugs all around. Take a break if you need it, but don't be afraid to go back to it. So, till next time, everybody, thank you so much for being here. Bye.
Drink water.